This is urgent, and in this episode we look into Trump-Putin meeting in Alaska. Trump and Putin's Alaska summit, what to expect and red flags to watch. Two leaders, one icy stage, and the world holding its breath. This Friday, August 15th, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin meet in Anchorage, Alaska, a location steeped in symbolism and shadowed by controversy. But what's really at stake? And what red flags should we be looking out for? Let's break it down. Trump and Putin in Alaska, the high-stakes summit. First, why Alaska? The summit will take place at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, just a short hop from Russian territory. The choice is no accident. It's secure, strategic, and sends a clear message. This is meant to be big. The main focus? Ending the war in Ukraine. Trump's hinted at a deal involving territorial swaps, some land back, some land exchanged, in hopes of a ceasefire. But here's the catch. Ukraine's President Zelenskyy isn't even invited. That's right, the country at the center of the war has no seat at the table. I am not surprised because if you remember correctly, Zelenskyy was a comedian who was supported by the US. He is an agent, and it makes sense that the two high-profile leaders met to discuss the end of the Ukraine war. Yanukovych was removed from the presidency during the 2014 Revolution of Dignity, which followed months of protests against him. The US was behind the movement. Superpowers of the Western Alliance has been funding the Ukraine war, so it makes sense again that the leaders who are using their people's taxes to fund the war can decide to meet and end the war at their own discretion. Trump's approach has been mixed. One-day warning of very severe consequences for Russia, the next calling this meeting a feel-out session. Unless the US is prepared to drown into further debt, I don't see many cards to play here. What do you think? Meanwhile, Putin arrives with momentum. Russia's military advances continue, and this meeting could lock in his gains without giving much up. So, what should we be watching out for? 1. Deals without Ukraine's consent. Any agreement trading Ukrainian territory without Kiev's approval would undermine sovereignty, and Zelenskyy has already called such moves decisions against peace. However, we know that Ukraine is in deep trouble based on debt accumulated since the war began. Secondly, what exactly can Ukraine do if US and Europe cut off the funding? 2. Legitimizing aggression. If Russia keeps what it's taken, this peace could encourage more territorial grabs by anyone willing to use force. Russian stand has always been clear, right? No NATO long-range missiles at her door. 3. Fracturing the West. By going solo, bypassing NATO and European allies, the US risks weakening the united front against Russian aggression. But one could ask, between NATO and Russia, who is aggressive? As far the history can recount, NATO has been causing destructions in Iraq, Libya, and more, but Russia has always vetoed the UN Security Council unfair resolutions. 4. No enforceable commitments. Without Ukraine's participation and clear follow-up plans, any deal could collapse within months. But this is insinuated by big media houses' biased commentary profiles. As I said earlier, whoever is funding the war has the right to decide when it should end. Ukrainian people have never had any say in their own affairs, and Zelenskyy, well, let's give him his credit due, comedy award, right? 5. Optics of hosting Putin. Holding this summit on US soil, when Putin's under ICC indictment, could be seen as granting him international legitimacy. The ICC indictment was never based on the facts and rational decisions except bunch of politicians in Europe flexing the muscles. So if it was invalid, then what is wrong with hosting Putin on the US soil? This summit could mark a turning point, or a dangerous detour. If Trump pushes for a deal that protects Ukraine's sovereignty and keeps allies on board, it could be a diplomatic win. But if not, history may remember Anchorage as the place where peace was promised and trust was broken. Are we still living in the age of who vs who? We should be rational and protect human rights as we claim to do. Unlike politicians, facts should count, and we should make rational decisions. It is about time this meeting takes place, and it should be a final point that Ukraine war stops. Taxpayers in US, Europe, Australia and Canada are tired of funding a war that rips Ukrainian citizens' lives into pieces. But also Ukrainian citizens do not want to be used as proxies in fight that has nothing to do with them. Putin said the operation was to protect the people of the Russian republics. He claimed that Russians in the Donbass had been facing humiliation and genocide perpetrated by the Kiev regime for 8 years. So, what do you think? Will this be the breakthrough the world's been waiting for, or just a photo op with a dangerous price tag? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more global analysis.